Hey there, it's Tracy with Between CAD Classes. In this video, I'm going to show you how to create a dynamic block that will both stretch and array as well. Now, if you haven't done either one of those individually, I will post some links in the description down below for my video on using a dynamic block stretch and a dynamic block array as well. But like I said, in this one, we're going to combine the two ideas. So if you take a look at what I have here on screen, I have three different sizes of seats. I have a chair, a love seat, and a couch. And what I would like to do is essentially, I would like to stretch out the chair to the love seat and the couch. And while I do that, I would like it to array the cushion. So let's take a look at what my final result is going to look like. Here I have this block and I can grab this grip and I can stretch it out, and you can see that as I do it, it arrays this cushion. I also have it set up to where I can choose the drop-down list and choose the specific one there as well. So this one's actually a lookup. So that's three different things we'll have in this one. We'll have the stretch, the array, and the lookup. Let's get started. If you would like to try this one along with me, I have a link to the file in the description for this video. So feel free to download that and try it out with me. All right, so first things first, I need to have a block. I don't currently have one, so I'm going to make a block out of my seat here. So I'm just simply going to select all the objects. I usually like typing B for block and pressing enter, but I can also go up to the block panel and choose create here. I'll go ahead and give it a name. I'm just going to call this seat. And then I will choose a base point, and I'll pick the back midpoint of the chair here as my base point. I'll go ahead and click OK. And this has now been converted into a block. Well, next I want to get into the block editor so I can add my dynamic features. So I'll double click on my block, then click OK. Here you can see my chair. And again, I'm going to do two different things. I'm going to both array and stretch. Both of those use a linear parameter. So I'm going to go to my parameters tab and choose a linear parameter. In my case, I'm going to stretch from left to right, so I'm going to pick an endpoint over here on the left and an endpoint on the right, and then click to place my parameter. I'm going to start with a stretch. So I'm going to go to the Actions tab. I'm going to select my stretch action. The first step is to select the parameter I want to associate it with. That's pretty easy to pick. There's only one. I'll choose the distance. And then you can see the little red X. I'm basically going to associate with the left or the right side. I want to stretch the right side, so I'll click when the right side is highlighted. Next, I'm going to create a stretch frame. So this is just simply where it's going to stretch. So I'm going to pick from the upper right down to the lower left, and I want it to cross those three horizontal lines because that's what would actually stretch out. Basically, the arm over here on this side is just going to move. So I'll create a frame like so. Now, in the dynamic block tool, you have to actually choose two stretch frames. One is the area, and the second is which actual objects do you want to stretch. So I'm going to create a very similar stretch frame, but I don't actually want my cushion to stretch. So after I click the second point, I'm going to hold the Shift key and click on my cushion to remove it from my selection set. And then I'll go ahead and press enter. I've now created my stretch. Let's go test it out. So here on the block editor tab, I will go to test block. And if I select it, I can now grab this grip and you can see that I can stretch it out. Notice the cushion didn't go along with it. So I'm going to have the cushion array rather than stretch. So I'm going to go ahead and close my test block and come back to my main block editor here. Next, I'm going to choose the array action. Before I do though, let's take a look at some values. We need to know how far we want to actually array this. So I am going to measure, just with my dimension tool, how wide this cushion is. If I zoom in, it looks like it's 2 foot 3 inches or 27 inches. So that's how far apart I want my array to go, is 27 inches. So let's try that out. Let's go to the actions. Let's choose the array. We'll choose the same parameter to start with. And then we'll select the object, that being this cushion, which I've made a polyline, so it's one selectable object. Then I'll press enter. Then it asks me for the distance between the columns. Again, we just figured that out to be 2 foot 3 inches. So I'll put in 2'3" and then press enter. Now let's go test it out. I'm going to go back to my block editor tab and test block. I'll go ahead and select the block here and grab this grip on the right side. And I can see that when I go just the right distance, it'll give me another cushion. But currently it'll also let me do something weird like that, which I don't like. So we're going to go and limit the amount of space that these cushions can go. The other thing that I want to do is if I grab this grip on the left side, you can see that it's not set up to stretch correctly. So we're going to get rid of that grip. So let's go back to the block editor here. And the first thing I want to do is select this distance parameter and right click and go to properties. There are of course other ways you can get to properties, type CH or PR are a couple of my favorites. Then down here at the very bottom, I'm going to change number of grips to 1. That will get rid of that grip on the left side that didn't really do anything for me. Then I'm going to put in a list of allowable values. Before I do that, I need to know what the current width is. So once again, I'm going to go back to the Home tab and use my linear dimension and dimension all the way across this guy. So it's currently 3 feet 1 inch. So my first width is going to be 3 feet 1 inch. Then my second one for my love seat, I'm going to add 2'3" to that for my cushion. So that's going to give me 5 foot 4 inches. And then I'll add 2'3" again for the sofa, and that's going to give me 7 foot 7 inches. So I have 3 allowable values. With that in mind then, I'm going to delete that dimension. I'm going to select my distance parameter, then scroll down on the properties and look for value set. For distance type, I'm going to set list as the type. Then I could put in what my allowable values are. I could put them in here separated by commas, but I find it easier to go ahead and select this button here to open up the dialog box. So my first one was 3 feet 1 inch. Again, my next one, I'm going to add the 2'3" to that. So it's going to be 5 foot 4. So 5'4" and then add. And then my third one for my sofa is going to be 7 foot 7 and then add. I'll go ahead and click OK. Let's test it out one more time. So I'll go to the block editor tab and test block. And then now you can see the grip over there on the left side is gone, and now I can grab the grip on the right and I can easily stretch it to 3 of the possible choices. Now obviously in this example I'm using a couch, but hopefully you can think about components that you use and different ways that you can apply this in stretch and array at the same time. The last thing I'm going to do is create a little drop-down list here. So I'm going to close my test block, and then I am going to choose my lookup parameter. So back on my parameters tab, I'm going to choose lookup, and then I'm going to click where I would want my drop-down arrow to go. So let's say my bottom left, maybe. Then I'm going to go to my actions tab and select my lookup action, and then select that lookup parameter. That will bring up my property lookup table. First thing I want to do is add in a property. We only have one, so again, that's pretty easy. I'll add this distance 1 property. And then what I will do over here on the left side is I will select the specific values I want to use to drive this particular chair. So I'm going to choose 3 foot 1. And then over here on the right, this is what's going to show up in the drop-down list. So if you wanted to, you could put in 3 foot 1 inch there. I'm actually just going to call this seat or chair, something like that. And then for my second one, I'll put in the 5 foot 4. And then I'm going to enter in love seat for its name. And then finally, I'll choose the 7 foot 7 and I'll put in the sofa for the name for that one. Then I'll go ahead and click OK. I can test it. I'm feeling pretty confident, so I'm going to close my block editor to take me back out to the drawing, and then of course save my changes. And then let's take a look at how this works. So once again, I can select it. I can grab the stretch grip over here on the right, and it will both stretch the chair and array the cushions for me. Or I could choose my drop-down list and click the drop-down and choose if I would prefer to have the love seat or the sofa, or back to the regular seat as well. Hopefully you found that helpful. If so, please give me a like and subscribe if you haven't already. As I said, this is an example. You might have some different ideas on how you could use this tool. I'd love to hear from you, so please comment below and let me know what type of block you're going to apply this to. As always, thank you so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.